Good morning, Hope members. How are we doing today? So today we are going to be making apple chips. So of course, with apple chips, we're going to be using an apple. But to make it a little sweeter, we're actually going to be using powdered sugar and my personal favorite, cinnamon. It also said that if you didn't want to use powdered sugar, you could use regular sugar. It'll just be a little more crystallized. I think that powdered sugar, I think it tastes delicious, and I think it works a little bit better for this recipe. So I would tell you to use powdered sugar if you're going to use the sugar for the apples. But it also said that if you don't want them as sweet, your baked apple chips, if you don't want them as sweet, you can just use cinnamon. So it's completely up to you, whatever you feel that would be better for your recipe, then you can use. So I went ahead and cut my apple just a tiny bit of this, the very end of it off, so then that way we can make some chips. You don't want to make them very thick. You want to make them pretty thin, so then that way they bake really well. So the whole point of this recipe is when we cook or when we bake them, they're supposed to get really dry and crispy. And apples are very, they're filled with, they're really moist. And so you want to make sure that you cut them just, thin enough so then that way they can dry easier. So what we're going to do first is very, very carefully, we're going to have our hand at the very end of our apple. We're going to take our knife and we're going to cut very small apple chips. So on the recipe, they had this really fancy apple slicer, and it took them no time at all to slice apples. I don't have one of those. I'm assuming that it's not really the most common household or kitchen appliance. So if you have one of those, go ahead and use it. And if not, we're gonna use a knife. So cutting this way, I'm cutting through the core. And that's even what on the recipe it showed. And if you cut through the core, it's going to be an awesome looking little star like this. Don't just put the seeds away. That's fine. You don't need them. They will come out anyway when you cut. So I didn't go ahead and core it because the recipe said, you don't need to. And that the seeds will come right out. If you can hear them, they're dropping right down on the plate. So you don't have to worry about coring the apple first. Except for that one little seed right there. All right, so I'm going to cut one more because I don't want to get too close to the core. Okay, perfect. Okay, so I'm going to show you my apple slices here. Looking like this, looking like this. And then I even have some that don't have that star yet just because it's closer to the core of the apple. So like this. This one got kind of cut weird, so I'm not going to use that one. I'm only going to use the ones that cut nice. Alright, I'm going to throw my seeds away really quick. So then what I'm going to do is I'm going to spread my apples around my plate.